Welcome to the Real Freedom Podcast, where we inspire you to pursue your passion to gain time and financial freedom through opportunities in real estate. I'm your host, Mike Swenson. Let's get some real freedom together. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Real Freedom Podcast, where we talk about people building wealth, gaining time and financial freedom through various opportunities in real estate. And so I'm so excited today to share. We have somebody that is a managing broker for a brokerage, which I don't think we've ever had on in 2.5 years. And so if you're curious to know what that's like, how that works, and then really Holly's role is managing agents, helping them to grow their careers. And so you get to see things firsthand in a way that a lot of people don't. And so we've got Holly Brink on the show today. And Holly is the managing broker for eXp Realty in Iowa, which currently has over 330 agents. And in the past, you've done things like property management, sales, still are an agent as well. And when you're not doing real estate, you are creating content for social media, which we can chat about a little bit too, and spending time with your two kids. So Holly, thank you so much for being on the show.
Well, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
For people, just give them, a little bit about your background, how you got to where you're at today, and then we can dig a little bit more in on the side of being a broker, how you can help agents, what that looks like. But talk about how you got up to where you're at here.
Yeah, so my journey was kind of a winding one, right? Like so often and you hear about, but I think I started my real estate journey while I was in college. I started with a company where I was basically a temp agent for apartments, like when they had like leasing agent needs and things. So it started there. And then after college, I got a job as an apartment manager. So I was an on-site apartment manager, 25 when I got the job, actually, so it was shortly after college. And so that just led me down this path of, okay, wanting to grow in that industry, needing to get my real estate license to become like a district manager, and then realizing that there was a lot more potential in sales. So then shifting over to sales, and this was all in Arizona. So my most recent journey then was moving to Iowa in 2016 and working in a local brokerage here, and then had heard about eXp previously. It wasn't in Iowa yet. So I was one of the first Iowa agents that jumped on. And after about 1.5 years, the designated managing broker at the time was ready to kind of take a step back. He had, opened up the state, done a great job. We had 69 agents on the roster. So this was back in 2019. And the leadership was like, is there any agents that you think could kind of carry this on or take it over till we find a permanent replacement. So I was honored to be the person that he felt was, most knowledgeable and ready for that challenge. So after a couple of weeks, I was like, can I just interview for this job? Like, I'm loving it. And I think it's a great opportunity. So I interviewed and they let me have it. So it was kind of being at the right place at the right time in a lot of ways. I've been super blessed. As you mentioned, now here we are 4 years later. We jumped from 69 agents, we're at 330 and always kind of growing. So I've grown a lot since I became the managing broker, and I've been able to grow with the state and help kind of tweak our processes and do things to help, with that. So anyways, it's been a really fun journey.
So for people that don't necessarily know kind of what is the designated managing broker, I think sometimes people use the terms broker and agent kind of interchangeably because you can be a broker but not be the designated managing broker. So can you just kind of educate those folks that maybe don't know or don't understand kind of how all of that works on the back end?
Absolutely. So I would say it's just sometimes a state by state basis. In Iowa, though, you have to be a salesperson for at least 2 years before you can take the education and then take the broker exam to become what we call a broker associate. So I do encourage all of my agents to do that. I feel like it's a little higher education. And then you have, instead of being a salesperson, a licensee, you are then a broker associate, which I think the public typically sees as having a little bit maybe more clout than a salesperson as well. Now, designated managing broker is multifaceted in terms of that's eXp's name for me. that I'm like the top, right, of the state level. At least I'm the state, so we may at some point get more managing brokers that help oversee regions. Now the real estate commission knows I'm the managing broker, DMB if you will. Some states call it the principal broker.
Mhm.
So that's just kind of, yeah, the one who's responsible for all of the licensees. So whether you want to look at it as like the mother hen, but really I'm literally responsible for the actions of all of the agents underneath me. So yeah.
I know for me being on the agent side in the past and knowing, quite a few brokers for various places in Minnesota, there's kind of a couple thoughts that people have about brokers. One is, you are the person that's responsible. And so I think that's the key piece. Like if you have, sometimes people think, well, I can just get my agent's license and, and just practice real estate and whatever. But people have to realize that, yeah, it's the broker that's responsible for the actions of the agents. And so me getting a license, I'm placing it with a brokerage who's going to say, I'm responsible for that person. And so I've, had in the past where, people are removed from a brokerage because they feel there's a liability there. Maybe there's some issues that have come up in the past. And so you really are responsible for the actions of the agents and what they do, what they say, what they tell people, the contracts. So it is a large responsibility to be responsible for those people, not only just making sure they're not breaking rules, but making sure they understand things and do things well, positively, in addition to just don't do that, don't do that.
Yeah. In my experience, most agents wake up wanting to do the right thing and wanting to be compliant. And so when mistakes are made, oftentimes it's out of ignorance. And so it is the most challenging part of the job because especially with the brokerage I'm with, we really give agents a lot of autonomy and let them running their own businesses how they want to in terms of team structure, all the things. But at the end of the day, we answer to our local boards, our state boards, the National Association of Realtors, the Real Estate Commission. Like there's so many overarching policies and rules and laws that there has to be some set of standards that each brokerage has. And so sometimes that puts me in a position of not being the fun person because I have to be like, well, that's a great idea. However, we need to pivot a little bit or do it a little bit differently. So it's the agents that go rogue, the agents that don't plug in and engage. I have a weekly state meeting. It'd be great if more agents came to that because we try to provide value. We try to go over kind of refreshers of the law, code of ethics, all kinds of stuff. And I really think that it would help. Oftentimes the agents that get in trouble are the ones that don't engage and don't plug in. And we do what we can to support them and course correct when necessary. But yes, it is challenging.
And then another piece, that I understand too is kind of figuring out the flow of things. So like, what should agents be doing? And as you have a scaling brokerage, 69 agents in 2019 and up to 330 now, there's a lot more of your time that you have to be efficient with. So as somebody that has run operations on a real estate team in the past, like I like making systems and processes. And so part of that too is deciding like, how do you submit contracts? What's the org chart in terms of what types of questions? What's the response times? How do you do that? And so you've kind of got to figure out the most efficient way to run things as well, because you want to be able to support agents. And for me, I don't necessarily call my broker, talk to them until I need to, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so it's not like, because I also respect their time, like you've got a lot of stuff on your plate. And so typically when we're reaching out to you, it's because we have something that's really urgent or really important. And so you having to decide, like, how can I quickly get back to people, provide the support that you need and do it in an efficient way? There's a lot there that you've got to figure out from a systems and operations standpoint.
Yeah, and luckily our brokerage ops team, the people above me have really helped, put systems in place. And I have a team, a smaller, like mom and pop brokerage, they probably do it all, file review, paying the agents, all the things. I'm lucky enough to have, although I'm the designated managing broker, I have someone whose full-time job is to audit those files and kind of tag me in if something looks suspicious or an agent needs additional training. And then there's 3 different departments that settle files, depending on whether you're a solo agent on a team or on a mega icon team. So there's lots of processes in place, but it's the constant tweaking and adjusting that I've noticed. I had a stellar onboarding system about a year and a half ago. And at some point we just kind of outgrew it and things changed. And now I have to, kind of go in and rebuild that because it was not a sustainable system. So, but yeah, it's definitely a fun part of the job, being a problem solver. So,
and to your point too, yeah, the systems that work at a certain scale don't work at a larger scale. And so you're not necessarily creating a system for 100,000 agents in the state of Iowa because you don't need to right now. And so you're kind of continuing to tweak and adjust and tweak and adjust and refine those systems to provide the best service possible. And yeah, you get to plug into a larger brokerage that has a lot of those systems in place. And so you're not coming up with it from scratch because they've done this in 49 other states too. You're figuring those things out and working together to figure out what do we need to do for what works best for Iowa for where we're at today.
Exactly. I'm on a couple of different brokerage ops chats, obviously, so we can support each other. And, the smaller states, we have the luxury of making those one-on-one calls when people onboard and being able to do that as the DMB. Well, then I've got other state friends who have, 13,000 agents. It seems like, I think I'm exaggerating, but they have thousands of agents. They have 250 agents in their queue at any time. Well, I have 5. So, it's quite a difference just depending on what's going on. But you're right. There's got to be some consistency, but it's got to be scalable. So, yeah.
So talk through today, because you do have a pulse on what agents are going through and doing business yourself. What are some of the challenges you see? So for people that want to get into real estate, right? So, hey, I'm in a sales career right now. I'm a teacher right now. I'm looking to get into real estate, maybe part-time with maybe the hope of going full-time in the future because I love the real estate industry. And I tell people it's a great opportunity. There's just this playground of opportunity, whether you want to be sales, whether you want to invest, whether you want to do other things, there's so much that's out there. So if I'm considering getting into real estate, dipping my toe in the water, what advice do you have or what challenges do you see from people that are doing that right now?
So yeah, it's, May 2023 and the market is a challenging one. Low as of today, we're seeing low inventory. I'm still seeing a lot of buyers, mostly first-time home buyers. I believe it's Gen Y, but the 18 to 24 crowd. And so I think for new agents who are getting licensed, and I've always felt this way, I think it's important to have support, whether that's your managing broker or you decide to join a team for a few years, even if that's your short-term plan. I think getting that hands-on experience is just invaluable. And recently we had a new agent who joined who was trying to go solo. And finally, I know it's been 6-8 months, no deals. He's doing all the things that we're recommending, reach out to your sphere, post about it, especially since he's multilingual. And finally we got him on a team. And now it's just he's been able to hit the ground running because the team leader is able to supply him with some leads. He's able to go out with his teammates to show houses and learn all the tricks of the trade. Because I would say, we learn about 5% of what we need from our classes. And the rest is hands-on job experience. And so that's, as a virtual brokerage where, yes, we have branch offices, but they're usually led by teams. That's where we have a mentorship program to get partnered with mentors. But I really feel, having come from a team background myself, that's the best way to learn. And it's worth the additional split that you might incur, better than nothing.
Yeah, I was going to say, my past before launching my own team was being the COO for a team of about 50 to 60 agents in multiple states. And we could talk for days about the value of being on a team because there's so much there. And I think agents sometimes feel short-sighted in thinking well, I don't want to give up my commission right away, right? Well, it's really not what am I giving up? It's a partnership, right? We're working together to help you hit your goals. And just like you talked about, being a DMB and having an organization that can support you in other areas, that's what a team can do, is support you in those other areas. And so you only have to focus on the few things that are really going to accelerate your business. And you have admin support, marketing support, sales support, leadership to be able to help you get further faster. And, I use this example of, I had a friend one day who's in sales, medical device sales, and his commission when he would sell something to a doctor, I think it was like 12% is what he got. And he's thrilled about getting 12% because that's what his commission is. And yet in real estate, because you could do 100% of the things, people feel like, let's just call it 50-50 for the sake of easy numbers. I know there's teams out there that do it differently, but 50-50, like that's 50%, my friend in medical device sales doesn't have to do the marketing, doesn't have to do the accounting, doesn't have to do the R&D to come up with these replacement knee parts. And they're excited to get 12%. But real estate, like we just somehow feel like because I could get 100%, I'm upset when I don't get 100%. But figuring out like, what would I be 3 years from now if I had the support of a team, the career acceleration of a team? There's a lot of opportunity there. So I love teams. I think there's a ton of value there. And a lot of times agents just feel short-sighted because I'm giving something up. But if you're on a great team, that value you're getting back is more than outweigh what that commission percentage is.
And I think that's the key, right? Is the value has to be there. So as a team leader, you have to be cognizant of that all the time. Like, obviously you have to be able to pivot and grow, but what value are you providing to the team and the team members? And so I think that's an essential piece of the puzzle. But for new agents, that would be my best recommendation, is to interview with a couple of different teams and see who might be a good fit. So.
Yeah. And there's the time value too. I was talking about this with another agent where he was asking me about, kind of the mantra out there for agents is you got to be available 24/7 Monday through Sunday. And it's, I'm giving up my personal life to do that, which some agents choose to do. And yet this person that I was talking to is, loved spending time with their kids at night. And I was like, you know what, if you've got a showing, if a buyer wants to see a showing or see a property, that's the value of a team. There could be another agent on your team that's available to do that, or another friend, another agent that you have in the brokerage. Doesn't have to be if you're not on a team. Like, right. You can go find those people and still find a way to do a great job as an agent and live a great life outside and have good family relationships, or be able to go to your kids' activities afterwards if you want to. And so I always encourage agents to think differently. Don't feel like you have to give something up to be in real estate, but what if you could have both? I can have the unlimited income potential. I could be my own boss, and I can still have a great life outside of that and not feel like I'm giving up things for my family or my kids.
Absolutely.
I was remembering when I first got into real estate, being on the admin side, we'd put together the marketing materials. And I remember we would always had these thresholds of kind of when we would brag about, hey, we sold a house, what were we excited to tell people? And I remember when we first started, it was if a listing sold in under 60 days is when we were excited to brag about selling a house. Now, if a house is on the market for three weeks, people are like, what's wrong with it? Like, is it going to fall apart and fall into the ground because it's been on the market for more than 3 weeks?
Yeah, no, you're so funny. And then that is industry trends. That is funny. Yeah, I started trying to be a solo agent, and then I joined a team. So when I first joined her team, it's funny, I was like the listing coordinator and did all that stuff. And then at some point when I moved back to the area, I transitioned to being her buyer's agent. And and I'm just being totally transparent, but I made more money being a buyer's agent on that team than I make today. And so it's because that was my goal, was wanting to be efficient and wanting to make money. So at some point, that's why some people stand out as team leaders, because they want to be the face and the brand, and that's great. But there's so many other people that are so important to running that system. And so we leaned into her brand and her team, and I, got to see the fruits of that. And I learned so much, over those 3-4 years that I was with her. So, yeah, that's it. But what I guess my point was as the buyer's agent, I, answered the phone, I did my buyer strategy session, and I showed homes, and then I negotiated the contract. Done. Handed off the file, and the transaction coordinator took the file, and I didn't show up until we did a final walkthrough. So it made my time more efficient, and I was able to, really just kind of keep it going and keep that train moving, and was able to close, 40 deals a year.
Well, and that's the other thing that people don't see if I'm getting into real estate and I'm trying to do everything myself is, yeah, how much more money can you make? The saying goes, the riches are in the niches, right? Like if you're really good as a buyer's agent, you can make a lot of money when you have the support and systems of a team, or you've put that together yourself, because yeah, it's the assembly line. Like I plug in, I do the thing that I need to do, and I do it really, really well. And then the rest of the team takes over. And what you need to focus on is finding a way to have that that assembly line be efficient. You don't want to be clunky in the handoffs, but when you do a great job as a buyer's agent, think about how strong you are in your scripts, your conversations, knowing how to really get to the point of what the buyers are looking for, being able to negotiate really well with the listing agents, and then move on to the next one. And if you're doing that, like you said, 40 a year, you're so much stronger than somebody trying to do everything and figuring out how to do 10 deals a year or 15 deals a year.
Absolutely.
And that as an agent, eventually you can get to the point to where, yeah, you can cherry pick your business. If there was a buyer that didn't fit your schedule, or that maybe didn't fit location wise or price point wise, or maybe you just didn't jive well with them, like you can refer that out to other people as well. And so you're in control of your career and kind of your career path and what you want to do. But yeah, getting that area of specialty is really important. So what are some other challenges or pieces of advice that you might have for agents looking to grow?
I think focusing on sphere and when you get their past clients, but really maintaining your database from day one, and if the agents that listen to that advice seem to do really well, but putting everyone in your database and really working your sphere, you probably are going to get your first few deals is leveraging your sphere, unless you join a team who hands them to you. And then just lead follow-up, answering the phone. So I am building what is now being known as a micro team as opposed to a mega team. So I'm the only agent at this point, but I have 3 admins now. So my first real hire was an ISA, and so I noticed my personal business suddenly, now my funnel is full because he's answering the phone. So it really was a reminder on how important it is to answer the phone when people call, and answer those leads, and don't wait, because you're not the only one that has that lead. You're not the only one that they're reaching out to. So those are probably my 2 biggest things, is really foster the relationships with your sphere, and make sure that you are answering the phone and responding to leads very quickly. And I mean, like within minutes, once you do have a lead. So.
And I think, you had mentioned database, number one, your database isn't your phone, your contacts in your phone. And yet your database doesn't have to be this super sophisticated thing. I think sometimes agents get hung up in the latest and greatest thing, or a database that has to do 97 different things that you're never going to use. And so starting out, it can be a spreadsheet, right? Like I always tell people the best database is the database that you use.
Yep.
And so if it's a spreadsheet with first name, last name, phone number, email, and then even if it's just a column of the last time you talked to them and notes, like it can be that simple. You don't have to feel like I've got to spend 3 weeks interviewing 7 different database and paying $500 a month. It can be that simple. Or some brokerages, help you out with your database and provide a tool for your database. And so I always encourage people, like, just get started, right? Plug in some time, add 25 people a day. Don't get overwhelmed. Sometimes they get so hung up with, I've got 100 different people or hundreds of different people, and then I don't do anything. Just chip away, be smart, learn, and then, yeah, you've got the value of other people to help you along the way.
Well, it's so funny because you say it's not your phone, but I know one of my icon agents, that's kind of how he started. He started going through his phone, calling people. And even if he didn't know who they were, he'd just make a joke of it. Like, you're in my phone. We obviously met at some point. Do you know how we met? You don't remember how we met? All right, well, I sell real estate, and it started a dialogue. And so although I said, like, answer your phone, what I really meant to say was pick up the phone, because you have to have conversations about real estate in order to get real estate business. And along those lines, I think my third and most important piece of advice for new agents is I see them hesitate to pick up the phone, hesitate to make the calls, hesitate to call back because they feel like they don't know what to say. And that's where I'm like, you need to look at scripts, and you can get them for free on the internet, but you need to have some sort of guideline or some sort of basis as to what you're doing, a map, if you will. And I know there's people that don't believe in scripts, but for new agents, they need something because they need to know what to say when somebody says, I'm already working with an agent, or, I'm interested in buying a house, because they literally don't know what to say next. So knowing what to say and when to say it, I think is a huge piece of that puzzle. And so, Google it, figure out what scripts resonate with you, because there's so many different kinds. And at the end of the day, just start reading them and figure out, so that you start having that arsenal of responses and objection handlers and questions to ask to get to the end result. And I think that is so essential and oftentimes overlooked.
Mm-hmm. And I think too, coming up with some great, powerful questions to ask people. I always tell people, if you don't know what to say, think of a good question to ask. Because if you're, a buyer's agent, I could tell you all the ways why I'm such a great agent and you should work with me, or I could ask a question to help understand your needs, like solving a problem, right? And so having a good list of questions to ask too, to get a sense for timing, motivation, and helping them to self-discover what they're looking for is helpful too. So if you don't know what to say, but I do agree, you need to gain efficiency by following some sort of plan, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you keep coming up with new different things and you're not necessarily following that plan, you're not able to learn and grow and to be more efficient with your time. What if instead of a 10-minute call with a buyer, you could be done in 5 minutes and gain the same information? That doesn't mean we're cheating the relationship. You're just getting to the point faster, so you can move on to the next call.
Yep. That efficiency is important in that roadmap.
Have you ever heard the phrase, you're the average of the top 5 people that you hang around? Well, real estate agents, I'm excited to increase your 5 with you. We're launching the Real Freedom Investor Agent Tribe to help you get educated and connect with others to build your real estate investing journey, and also to help you along the way as you're working with real estate investors. So come check it out on our website, realfreedom.com. Go to the store. We have a membership, we have a mastermind group, and private coaching to help you stay accountable to your real estate investing goals, and to make sure that you connect with like-minded people to accelerate your progress and to cheer you on along the way. Check it out, realfreedom.com. Click on the store. There's a lot of brokerages out there, and not every brokerage is for every person, and yet every brokerage would probably like to have an agent on as a part of their brokerage. So how do you help guide people? Like, I'm a big believer in, there's lots of great brokerage options, and so how do you help them select a brokerage that's a good fit for them?
I definitely think all new licensees should meet with at least 3 different brokerages and ask the questions. And for, I wouldn't, the thing to remember is you don't go to a Ford dealership to get sold a Chevy. So you really want to go and you want to really get meet with the broker or the team leader and see what they have to offer, like full package. So, and I guess what my point is like, even in our brokerage, like people are like, well, I need a brick and mortar. Well, if you call me, I can see if there's there's teams. We have like 8 branch offices. Like, let me see if one of them is open to having you come, meet with them and train with them. So, just reading and hearing things about different brokerages is not good. You want to still get out there, ask the questions. And what we were talking about earlier, to circle back, is it's not all about the split. What value are they providing, whether it's a brokerage at the brokerage level or at a team level? What value are you getting for that split? And what services and benefits are there? Is there stock options? Is there medical? Is there a support system in place if you leave town and travel? What does training look like? If you need that in real life training and watching videos isn't your jam, do they have that resource available? Maybe the recording's more your jam. Do they have that resource available? So figuring out what it is that you want. But I think that, interviewing at least 3 and kind of getting the overall vibe of the brokerage and the team is so important.
It's in my mind, it's really about finding a great fit. And I think brokerages are great for a lot of people, but not every, broker's not a one size fits all fit for everybody, because you're at a different spot in your life, a different spot in your career, and it's about finding the right fit for you. So just because somebody said they had a bad experience at that brokerage doesn't mean that that brokerage is bad for everybody. It was just a bad fit for them. And so I love talking about the positive things of each brokerage. I got a recruiting email yesterday from a brokerage, and they started off by being negative about other brokerages. And it's like, well, that's not the way to win me. The way to win me is just tell me what's good about your brokerage. You don't have to be negative about other brokerages. Just speak positively. Here's what we do well. Here's what I like about our brokerage. And if you like it, great, choose it. If you like a different brokerage, great, you can choose that. But it is about finding the right fit. And it's not a one size fits all. Just because I like wearing Nike shoes doesn't mean that everybody likes wearing Nike shoes. Sometimes it just doesn't fit their foot right? That doesn't mean that a Nike shoe is bad. It just means it doesn't fit them well. So find the broker that's a good fit for you.
Yep, definitely.
Holly, how can folks get a hold of you if they want to learn more about you or connect further?
Yeah, on most things, I'm Hustle with Holly. On Instagram, I'm Hustle with Holly Brink. So, that's the easiest way. My number is 712-363-2399, but you got to send me a text. So I probably won't answer unless you're an agent. So I have all the agents programmed on my phone. And if they call, I answer. If it's a number I don't recognize, I don't. So
right. That's how a lot of us work these days.
Yep. But yeah, happy to help answer any questions, guide you in the right direction, whatever I can do.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Holly, for coming on and sharing your story, learning more about kind of the back end of a brokerage and helping to encourage and inspire agents to grow further in their career. So thank you so much for coming on and sharing.
All right. Thanks so much. Have a good one, Mike.